This is the Troll Patrol. Live. With Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol. Live. It's a freaking Wednesday. Good evening Tones. Welcome everyone. Did you guys know that if I don't have as many followers as Bo of the Fifth Column and Trey Crowder, it proves I'm not talented? That's one of the dumbest things I've ever had someone tell me on the internet. That's saying something. I'm being hyperbolic. I hear people say a lot dumber things all the fucking time. Like my buddy Chris. Yes, I am a loser. My buddy Chris telling me that a drag queen whipped out his dick and told a kid it ain't gonna suck itself. But the actual story was a drag show was held at an ice cream shop, and there was a sign on the wall that said it's not going to lick itself. Completely different story. What he said didn't actually happen. And apparently he still finds the sign in the ice cream shop to be very distasteful. Shelly, good evening. Well, it's an ad populum fallacy, right? I mean, do you believe that the Bible is the best book ever written? Just because it sold the most copies? Some people would say that. I mean, it is referred to as the greatest story ever told. Kills you? Do I know what kills you is? No, I do not, PP girl. Am I even saying it right? Also, good evening. And if you think that the Bible is the best book ever written, then you have to think that the letters from Chairman Mao is the second great. You have to think that the letters from Chairman Mao is the second greatest book ever written. Snicks, good evening. Or good afternoon. Good evening where I'm at. You could be on the other side of the country. And it'd be afternoon for you. A short story collection. It's not even original. It's a lot of stolen stories, a lot of amalgamations of different stories. And it's not a very good book. Just throwing it out there. This came up on my page earlier today. Passion of the Christ, however, very good movie. Very good movie. I hate Mel Gibson, but the motherfucker knows how to make a movie. Apocalyptico, also an incredibly good movie. Repping that East Tennessee. Man, do we have some bullshit to talk about tonight. We're going to get a major dose of Attorney General Merrick Garland testifying in front of Congress earlier today. Several things stuck out. Massey questioning him, Representative Thomas Massey from Kentucky.
You live in sexual anarchy.
I'm sorry, Charlie. I did it. I'm the one that hit the button. Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk just took me by surprise there. I've got to remember to reset my drops. Seriously. Because that ain't fun when that happens. That big forehead just comes out. And I'm one to talk about foreheads, right? Mine looks gigantic since I shaved my head. Man, I watch old videos with my hair. I miss it so much. Why did I ever agree to shave it off? Who knows if it's even going to grow back now? I'm trying. Working on it. Pretty sure I've fucked the back of it up pretty bad. Probably need to have somebody look at that before I actually go outside and get made fun of. As I said the other night, I feel like I feel like I should be out on a farm somewhere as being like, some folks call it a Kaiser blade. Other folk call it a sling blade. Here's your meme of the day. How much do you pay your CEOs? How much do you pay your millionaire CEOs every year, huh? I will tell you that by the end of the show, it's going to get rather graphic. Representative Senator Susan Collins of Maine, in response to what they are calling the Fetterman rule, has pledged that she's going to wear a bikini on the floor of the Senate. Oh, so it's a type of hooch. We had the hooch discussion the other day. I not very big of a drinker, didn't know, like, thought hooch was like bathtub liquor. Apparently it's like prison liquor and shit. I know I went to a hooch party when I first got to college, and they made it in a goddamn garbage can. Drink your liquor out of a garbage can. That's the college experience right there. Motherfucker. I'm going to have to do a content warning before we hear from Matt Gaetz multiple times tonight. Matt Gaetz questioning Attorney General Merrick Garland about the Biden crime family. Also, promising that there will be a government shutdown. We are now 10 days away from the deadline for them to reach a budget agreement. And Matt Gaetz promising us that we were going to see a shutdown. Rudy Giuliani apparently groped a former aide to former President Donald Trump, which should come as a shock to no one. A prosecutor at the DOJ says she left the DOJ in the Russia investigation because of worries over Bill Barr and how he was misrepresenting the conclusions in the Mueller report, because of course he was. Canada has this woman they call the QAnon Queen. Apparently, the town of Kamsack, Saskatchewan, ran her out of town. Good on them. We're gonna talk about next week's GOP debates. I've got an update on the F-35 that is still missing. Seriously, have we asked the Chinese to deploy their spy balloons? They probably know where it's at. Apparently this clip of a local news station interviewing a resident that heard the crash is hilarious. We're going to watch that. Protesters yesterday in California blocking highways in protest of the treatment of Armenia. Apparently their protest works because separatists in Armenia have agreed to a ceasefire. This is in the ongoing conflict with Azerbaijan. Pretty much everything I know about the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia comes from being a System of a Down fan. An Oklahoma state trooper apparently shot a truck driver during a traffic stop. You know there's some bullshit going on there. Keeping it in Oklahoma. Goddamn. An Oklahoma pastor is defending his performance in blackface. A white supremacist threatened jurors in the trial of the synagogue shooter. A black student has been suspended twice over his hair despite the new law that has passed, the Crown Act, which is supposed to make that a form of discrimination. We've got a statement. We watched the band director last night that got tased by the cops in Birmingham. He gave a statement earlier today. We're going to hear from him. A gas leak in Atlanta caused a huge fire, plus Donald Trump has died. Or at least that's what Don Jr.'s Twitter account tweeted out earlier today. It's not true, unfortunately. All that and more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Welcome. Libertad, good evening. Did I pronounce it wrong? I thought I was saying it right, because once again, I have a little knowledge of the subject because of being a fan of System of a Down. The members of System of a Down met in California, but all are of Armenian heritage. Goddamn Turkmenistan. Also, Istanbul, a cover. Oh, Azerbaijan. More or less correct. Thank you, PP Girl. That's what I was thinking. More or less correct. Azerbaijan. I'm sorry that the kick chat is acting up. So, DJ Dub, Clinically, Simp, Dustin, if you guys are over there, good evening. Love you guys. Maybe you're not allowed to comment. Maybe you're having a problem. I don't know. It's probably not so much the kick chat. It's probably Restream. Restream has brain farts every now and then. More or less correct. More or less correct. A lot of news to cover, and I'm already hungry, so let's go ahead. I was going to put in a potato. God, I can't think of the Mitch Hedberg joke off the top of my head, where he's like, do you want a potato now? Well, I may want one later, so I'll go ahead and put it in the oven. Something. I was going to go ahead and put it in the oven, but I think I have way too much news to put a baked potato in. Maybe I'll take a break at about 9 o'clock. I'll put a baked potato in. If you want 1,000 of something, you want some rice, not a potato. Oh shit. I used to do drugs. I still do. But I used to too. Fucking Mitch Hedberg. Love that motherfucker. Miss you. The years of comedy that we have missed out on because you died, but motherfucker, you had a death wish. They were, if you don't know this story, he went to he'd been shooting up in his foot. They take him to a hospital and they're wanting to amputate his leg. And he gets a second opinion, like if they go to a different hospital, they're able to save his leg. Motherfucker comes out and starts shooting heroin right back in the same leg. Some people just live fast and hard, and that's the way they want to do it. Rest in peace, Mitch Hedberg. What an amazing talent. Warlord, good evening. I don't even know what you're talking about. I saw you posted in the Discord. We're gonna do the King of the U.S., or at least that's the way the Republicans portray him, as if Joe Biden is a king. Here is Merrick Garland, the Attorney General for the Biden administration. This is his opening statement to the House committee. We're gonna get into some of the back and forth with him and Republicans, which gets awfully heated here in just a second.
Good morning, Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Nadler, and distinguished members of this committee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you on behalf of the more than 115,000 employees of the Department of Justice. Since the Justice Department was founded, it has been tasked with confronting some of the most
You're working in kick, cool.
issues before the country. Today, we are handling matters of significant public interest that carry great consequences for our democracy. A lot has been said about the
I'm still upset at the fact that Doug Jones is not the Attorney General. Doug Jones was the senator from Alabama up until Tommy Tuberville beat him in 2020. I thought the Biden administration really missed out on an opportunity to put a good man in the spot of Attorney General. If you're not aware of who Doug Jones was, he was the man who dared to prosecute the Klan for their bombings of churches in Birmingham. According to Matt Gaetz, it's like 100% chance. We're going to get to that here in just a second, Warlord.
Justice Department, about who we are and what we are doing, about what our job is and what it is not, and about why we do this work. I want to provide some clarity. First, who we are. The Justice Department is made up of more than 115,000 men and women who work in every state and communities across the country and around the globe. They are FBI, DEA, ATF, agents and United States Marshals who risk their lives.
ACAB means them too.
They are prosecutors and staff who work tirelessly to enforce our laws. The overwhelming majority are career public servants, meaning that they were not appointed by the president of any party. Second, I want to provide clarity about what the job of the Justice Department is and about what it is not. Our job is to help keep our country safe.
Oh, don't worry, Warlord. It's gonna get heated.
Closely with local police departments and communities across the country to combat violent crime. In fact, today we are announcing the results of a recent U.S. Marshals operation conducted with state and local law enforcement. That operation targeted violent fugitives and resulted in 4,400 arrests across 20 cities in just 3 months. Our work also includes combating the drug cartels that are poisoning Americans. Last Friday,
Leave the people bringing me jugs alone.
Guzman Lopez, a leader of the Sinaloa cartel, from Mexico to the United States. He is a son of El Chapo and one of more than a dozen cartel members we have indicted and extradited to the United States. Our job includes seeking justice for the survivors of child exploitation, human smuggling, and sex trafficking. And it includes protecting democratic institutions.
Justin, good evening.
By holding accountable all those criminally responsible for the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
Does F5 fix the government?
Is also to protect civil rights.
Has anyone tried?
Includes protecting our freedoms as Americans to worship and think as we please, and to peacefully express our opinions, our beliefs, and our ideas. It includes protecting the right of every eligible citizen to vote and to have that vote counted.
That I can get behind.
It's combating discrimination, defending reproductive rights under law, and deterring and prosecuting attacks such as hate crimes. And our job is to uphold the rule of law. That means we apply the same laws to everyone. There is not one set of laws for the powerful and another for the powerless, one for the rich and another for the poor, one for Democrats and another for Republicans.
Doubt.
Different rules depending upon one's race or ethnicity or religion. Our job is to pursue
It ain't true.
without fear or favor. Our job is not to do what is politically convenient. Our job is not to take orders from the president, from Congress, or from anyone else about who or what to criminally investigate. As the president himself has said, and I reaffirm today, I am not the president's lawyer. I will add, I am not Congress's prosecutor. The Justice Department works for the American people. Our job is to follow the facts and the law, and that is what we do. All of us recognize that with this work comes public scrutiny, criticism, and legitimate oversight. These are appropriate and important given the matters and the gravity of the matters that are before the department. But singling out individual career public servants who are just doing their jobs is dangerous, particularly at a time of increased threats to the safety of public servants and their families. We will not be intimidated. We will do our jobs free from outside influence, and we will not back down.
I promise, Warlord. Stick around. It's gonna be good.
Third, I want to explain why we approach our job in this way. The Justice Department was founded in the wake of the Civil War and in the midst of Reconstruction with the first principal task of bringing to justice white supremacists and others who terrorize Black Americans to prevent them from exercising their civil rights. The Justice Department's job then and now is to fulfill the promise that it is at the foundation of our democracy, that the law will treat each of us alike. That promise is also why I am here. My family fled religious persecution in Eastern Europe at the start of the 20th century. My grandmother, who was one of 5 children, born in what is now Belarus, made it to the United States, as did 2 of her siblings. The other two did not. Those two were killed in the Holocaust. And there's little doubt that but for America, the same thing would have happened to my grandmother.
I wasn't aware he was Jewish.
This country took her in, and under the protection of our laws, she was able to live without fear of persecution. That protection is what distinguishes this country from so many others. The protection of law, the rule of law, is the foundation of our system of government. Repaying this country for the debt my family owes, for our very lives, has been the focus of my entire professional career. That is why I served in the Justice Department under 5 different attorneys general under both Democratic and Republican administrations.
Yeah, people aren't aware of this, but he was actually on the short list to be a nominee to the Supreme Court for George W. Bush. Merrick Garland was on the short list to be a Supreme Court justice in the Bush administration. That was one of the reasons why Obama picked him, was he didn't figure that the Republicans would have any problem with this dude who is clearly a conservative. Obama, not the best at the politics, eh? Didn't see what was going to happen.
That is why I spent more than 25 years ensuring the rule of law as a judge, and that is why I left a lifetime appointment as a judge and came back to the Justice Department 2.5 years ago. And that is why I'm here today. I look forward to your questions.
Oh, you say you look forward to their questions, but what's going to happen when Representative Thomas Massie, the firebrand Republican from Kentucky, starts asking you questions?
To direct your attention to a video here that we're going to play.
Obviously, that's a significant matter. It is an ongoing criminal investigation, and so I'm not going to comment on an ongoing criminal investigation.
Were those pipe bombs operable?
Again,
The ATF is the expert.
Again, it's an ongoing criminal investigation, and under longstanding policy, I cannot comment.
As you know, this is a very active, ongoing investigation, and there are some restrictions on that, but we will
Yes,
do
we
our
can
best
handle
to
classified information, and we fund your department, and so you
It's them, not me, Tones. It's their mics, not me. I'm good over here.
need to provide that.
It's not, respectfully, it's not an issue of classification. It's an issue of
John, good evening.
commenting on ongoing criminal investigations, which is something
This is Chris Ray, head of the FBI. The other dude was the head of the ATF. God, I don't have his name here.
And under longstanding policy, I cannot comment.
As you know, this is a very active, ongoing investigation, and there are some restrictions on that, but we will
Yes,
do
we
our
can
best
handle
to respond.
classified information, and we fund your department
Stephen Dettelbach.
to provide that.
It's not, respectfully, it's not an issue of classification. It's an issue of commenting on ongoing criminal investigations, which is something that by longstanding department policy, we are restricted in doing. And in fact, the last administration actually strengthened those policies partly
That's
because—
not our policy, though, and we fund you, so let's move on.
I could-
Do you know how?
Did. So I'm not going to violate this norm of the rule of law. I'm not going to comment on an investigation that's ongoing.
Peter Navarro was indicted for contempt of Congress.
Yeah.
Aren't you, in fact, in contempt of Congress when you give us this answer? This is an answer that's appropriate at a press conference. It's not an answer that's appropriate when we are asking questions. We are the committee that is responsible for your creation, for your existence of your department. You cannot continue to give us these answers. Aren't you, in fact, in contempt of Congress when you refuse to answer?
No.
Congressman, I have the greatest respect for Congress. I also have the greatest respect for the Constitution and laws of the United States. The protection of pending investigations and ongoing investigations, as I briefly discussed in another dialogue a few moments ago, goes back to the separation of powers, which gives to the executive branch the sole authority to conduct prosecutions. It's a requirement of due process and respect for those who are under investigation, the protection of their civil rights.
Well, with all due respect,
Congress.
with all due respect to that, Iran-Contra was an ongoing investigation, and that didn't stop Congress from getting the answers. And you're getting in the way of our constitutional duty. You're citing the Constitution. I'm going to cite it. It's our constitutional duty to do oversight. Now, in that video, that was your answer to a question to me 2 years ago, when I said how many agents or assets of the government were present on January 5th and January 6th and agitating in the crowd to go into the Capitol, and how many went into the Capitol. Can you answer that now?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Oh, last time.
Sir, you are aware that Merrick Garland was not the Attorney General on January 5th, January 6th, 2001, correct?
You don't know how many there were, or there were none?
I don't know the answer to either of those questions. If there were any, I don't know how many. I don't know whether there are any.
I think you may have just perjured yourself that you don't.
I don't remember who was the Attorney General at the time because Barr stepped down. We had an acting Attorney General, but it was that one dude they wanted to put in as Attorney General, but the Justice Department revolted. So I don't even remember who it was at the time, but it wasn't Merrick Garland. We're still talking. This was the Trump administration.
Know that there were any? You want to say that again? That you don't know that there were any?
What you think? Ray Epps was an FBI agent?
I said the last time.
You've had 2 years to find out. And the day, by the way, that was in reference to Ray Epps, and yesterday you indicted him. Isn't that a wonderful coincidence? On a misdemeanor. Meanwhile, you're sending grandmas to prison. You're putting people away for 20 years for merely filming. Some people weren't even...
Whoa. No one was put away for 20 years for merely filming. The people put away for 20 years were the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, who absolutely had violent intentions that day. Thomas Massey, you lying sack of shit. You want to talk about perjury? I think Congress should be under oath when you're having these hearings, motherfucker. You should be charged with perjury.
Yet you got the guy on video who's saying go into the Capitol. He's directing people to the Capitol before the speech ends. He's at the site of the first breach. You've got all the goods on him, 10 videos, and it's an indictment for a misdemeanor. The American public is...
Rosen was the acting Attorney General.
Chairman Jordan.
May I answer the question?
I'm going to ask you one now. We'll let the gentleman...
Yeah.
Don't forget, Jim Jordan covered up sexual abuse at Ohio State University while he was an assistant wrestling coach, and that's probably the look that he gave victims while he was covering it up.
One now. We'll let the gentleman...
Yeah.
Go ahead, but...
In discovery, in the cases that were filed with respect to January 6, the Justice Department prosecutors provided whatever information they had about the question that you're asking. With respect to Mr. Epps, the FBI has said that he was not an employee or informant of the FBI. Mr. Epps has been charged, and there's a proceeding, I believe, going on today on that subject.
The charge is a joke. I yield to the chairman.
The time the gentleman has expired. The chair recognizes...
Thomas Massey is a joke. And you know, he brought up being in contempt of Congress. Wasn't Jim Jordan subpoenaed a few years ago? Ray, good evening. Not Ray Epps. That is not the Ray Epps in the chat. That's just Ray.
Mr. Attorney General, my colleague just said that you should be held in contempt of Congress, and that is quite rich because the guy who's leaving the hearing room right now, Mr. Jordan, is about 500 days into evading his subpoena, about 500 days. So if we're going to talk about contempt of Congress, let's get real. I mean, are you serious that Jim Jordan, a witness to one of the greatest crimes ever committed in America, a crime where more prosecutions have occurred than any crime committed in America, refuses to help his country, and we're going to get lectured about subpoena compliance and contempt of Congress? Jim Jordan won't even honor a lawful subpoena? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? There's no credibility on that side. Mr. Attorney General, you are serious. They are not.
As a conservative, it's getting harder and harder to
You are
not
decent.
look like a kook.
They are not. You are fair. They are not.
That was Eric Swalwell pointing out the blatant hypocrisy of the GOP. Here is Representative Sparks from Indiana. Apparently, she had an analogy for the Justice Department, comparing it to the KGB.
A very moving statement about your grandparents coming here from Belarus to live in the country without fear of prosecution. I grew up in very similar country, Ukraine now, and when I came here as a young person, I believed in the value as an American not to be afraid of my government. But I wanted to tell you, and I want to share with you and get your thoughts on that. Are you aware that a lot of Americans are now afraid of being prosecuted by your department? Are you aware about that? Are you aware of that?
Well, maybe they shouldn't commit crimes.
I'm just saying, are you aware or not?
She's not Swedish. She's.
I think that constant attacks on the
Soviet.
department and saying
It's
that
not attacks. Well, let me give you an example.
I don't know
We talk
what-
about January 6th. People.
I'm sorry?
Here, there some people came on January 6th. There probably were some people that came on January 6th here, that had bad intent. But a lot of good Americans from my district came here because they are sick and tired of this government not serving them. They came with strollers and a kid.
No. They came because they were protesting Donald Trump losing the election. They tried to overturn the election. They didn't just come because they were sick and tired of their government not representing them.
Kids, and there was chaotic situation because the proper security wasn't provided. That's a question that was answered really why we debated for 45 minutes on the floor and didn't stop the debate after the people broke into the Capitol. But these people came, they were throwing the smoke bombs into the crowd with strollers with kids. People were showed up, FBI agent to people's houses. You had in my district, in my town, FBI phone numbers all over the district. Please call that. People are truly afraid. I just want to make sure if you're not aware that you are. And this is a big problem when people are afraid of their own government. And I'll share some other things. We're talking about justice system. I don't question, you're probably not a bad person. I don't know you, but what I'll tell you, you're in charge of the department. And people right now feel, I look at Durham report and I called on the FISA violation.
Facts don't care about your feelings. The Durham report was bullshit. We've gone over this. The one dude who pled guilty in relation to the Durham investigation. He lied to obtain a FISA warrant, but it was just, the judge said he was only cutting corners. The warrant would have still been issued. The investigation was valid. These people are brazen liars.
Of queries of millions of Americans, right? It's like KGB, but when I read Durham reports, we have this, you have a nice, playbook. First, let's have a special counsel, and then you don't have to answer any questions here. Then, let's extend slow walk investigation on Hillary Clinton, on Hunter. Everything is slow walk. We were very quick on Donald Trump, but you were very slow walk. Then, by the time, that investigation ended, statute of limitation expired, and all of your agents need to be tested for amnesia. No one recalls anything. Okay, you probably should have as part of your hiring policy. So no one held accountable, which was egregious what happened, in that report. When I read about them, I can't believe it happened in the United States of America. This is my frustration. I'll be honest with you. Then it's very interesting.
You're an idiot.
Even people in Obama administration raised concerns. How can President sons be serving on, corrupt Ukrainian oligarchs? Do you understand that it actually can undermine the one Ukrainian effort and policy? I think these concerns were raised. The Obama administration didn't do anything about it. These people are dying right now, and Americans don't trust this president. So I want to ask you one thing. I don't need answer because I know you're not going to, but I think you're probably good American and you care. And a lot of these people are so afraid they cover up this stuff, I think, in your department because they're embarrassed that what we became as a country.
Ma'am, you need to learn to fucking feel embarrassment. What you are saying is absolute fucking nonsense.
That what our Department of Justice became, that allows Russians to do propaganda in Chinese. It allows them to destabilize our country. That is danger to our republic. It is significant danger. And I have just one more question from you. I agree on corporate crimes and FISA stuff, even with Democrats, that we need to do a better job. One more question for you. Do you believe that, you talk about rights to vote, but do you believe that only U.S. citizens should be voting in this election and doing anything to make sure that only eligible people vote in elections?
Yes and yes.
Okay, I would like to see that, what you do. Thank you. Yield back.
The Trump Justice Department called it the most secure election in American history. I am tired of Republican voters being so goddamn dumb. Because they let idiots like this get away with this bullshit. She's never going to be held account for the idiocy she just spewed. My God. Oh, she sounded like she was on crack.
I was on crack.
Right.
Smoking that crack with old Mike Lindell. Before the next clip from the Garland hearing, I have to hit a content warning because everyone has requested before you see this man's face on stream, I have to warn you, and I completely understand. Here is Representative Matt Gaetz from Florida questioning Merrick Garland.
The gentleman from Florida is recognized 5 minutes.
I guess I'm just wondering, Mr. Attorney General, has anyone at the department told President Biden to knock it off? With Hunter. I mean, you guys are charging Hunter Biden on some crimes, investigating him on others. You've got the president bringing Hunter Biden around to state dinners. Has anyone told him to knock it off?
Our job in the Justice Department is to pursue our cases without reference to what's happening in the outside world.
Just yes or no. Have you done that?
That is what we do.
So it's a no?
No one that I know of has spoken to the White House about the Hunter Biden case.
I'm wondering then.
Of course not.
Okay, I got it. So Hunter Biden is selling art to pay for his $15,000 a month rent in Malibu. How can you guarantee that the people buying that art aren't doing so to gain favor with the president?
Job of the Justice Department is to investigate criminal allegations. You have information.
Are you investigating this? I mean, someone who bought Hunter Biden's art ended up with a prestigious appointment to a federal position. Doesn't it look weird that he's become this immediate success in the art world as his dad is president of the United States? Isn't that odd?
I'm not going to comment about any specific.
Not going to comment, not going to investigate. So
right.
Hunter Biden associate Devin Archer told us that Hunter sold the appearance of access to then Vice President Biden. Are you confident?
Well, at least he said appearance.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Hunter Biden associate Devin Archer told us that Hunter sold the appearance of access to then Vice President Biden. Are you confident he has stopped?
I'm going to say again that all these matters are within the purview of Mr. Weiss. I have not interfered with them, and I do not.
But if you were confident that he had stopped, you could.
And I do not
probably
intend
tell
to
us
interfere with
he
him.
had. So it was a lot of Chinese money that was working its way through these shell companies into the accounts of the Biden family. So the China initiative was set up during the Trump administration at the Department of Justice to go after the malign influence of the Chinese Communist Party. And the Biden Justice Department dissolved the China initiative. So I guess I'm wondering, does the department have any documents that would detail the basis for why you got rid of the China initiative that President Trump had set up?
The Assistant Attorney General for the National Security Division gave a long speech which explained that. He has testified before Congress several times. We'd be happy to provide you with
What's the basis? Just tell us all now. Why was the China initiative dissolved?
What the Assistant Attorney General said was that we face attacks from 4 nation states: North Korea, China, Russia, and Iran, and that we need to focus our attention on the
new axis of evil.
Sometimes we don't know.
Wait a second. Are you saying that North Korea has the same malign influence risk to the United States as the Chinese Communist Party? Are you trying to represent there's some parity there? Because here's what it looks like. It looks like the Chinese gave all this money to the Bidens, and then you guys came in and got rid of the China initiative, and it was successful. Like, I saw one rationale that you guys got rid of the China initiative because it was racial profiling. But one of the people you convicted was a guy named Charles Lieber, who was a Harvard professor taking $50,000 a month to do China's bidding and give them whatever research was being done. Are you aware of the millions of dollars that moved through Rob Walker's shell companies from Chinese Communist Party entities into Biden family bank accounts? Are you aware of that?
There were a lot of questions that you just asked. Let me start with the first one about North Korea.
Well, loaded questions.
North Korea is a dangerous actor, both kinetically and with respect to cyber.
But not on par with China. I'm on the Armed Services
Committee,
Mr.
business
Attorney
right
General.
now.
It makes you look unserious to suggest
May
that.
I answer your question or not?
Answer the question about whether or not you know about all the millions of dollars that
So
moved
you
through
don't
Rob
want me to
Walker's
answer about North Korea?
I already know the answer, and so does everyone. They're not the same risk as China. So let's get on to serious questions and serious answers. Do you know about the money that moved through Rob Walker's shell companies, yes or no?
As I have said repeatedly, I have left these matters to Mr. Weiss. I've not
Blissfully
intruded.
ignorant.
I've not interfered.
Blissfully
I've
ignorant
not
to these
tried to
things.
find out what.
And that's what's wild is that's who they were asking for. The Republicans pushing to make Weiss a special counsel. And now that he's special counsel, they're still up in arms. Just like now that Ray Epps has been indicted, they're still up in arms. You can't appease these assholes.
It's like you're looking the other way on purpose because everybody knows this stuff's happening. And you know what? People don't pay bribes to not get something in return, right? The China initiative resulted in the convictions of a Harvard professor, of someone at Monsanto. So we were working against the Chinese. They paid the Bidens, and now you're sitting here telling me that North Korea is the big threat. I got to get to this one thing on January 6th. So did the FBI lose count of the number of paid informants on January 6th?
Let me answer your question about China.
I want you to answer this question. I only get 5 minutes. You've already sort of, I think, screwed the pooch on China. So January 6th, did you lose count of the number of federal assets? Did you lose count and order an audit?
Gentleman's time has expired.
I get an answer to the question of did they lose count?
No, let him answer the question.
The time has expired. The Attorney General can respond.
China is the most aggressive, most dangerous adversary that the United States faces, and we are doing everything within our power to rebut that, to stop that, to prevent their invasion.
Dangerous?
Both and through cyberspace, and we will continue to do
If someone
that.
gave that answer in your courtroom when you were a judge, you would tell them they were being non-responsive and you would direct them to answer the question.
Point of order, Your Honor.
Time is
Badgering the witness.
Spider Pickle, good evening.
Expired.
I got it. I was.
You like Your Honor? You want to stick with that?
Yeah, I was getting laughed at to call me Your Honor.
Point of order either way.
Okay, I understand that too.
All right.
But the gentleman asked his question before his time expired. The Attorney General did not respond to the gentleman's question. I was hoping he would respond to the question about the confidential human sources on January 6th. He didn't respond to that. I'm sure we're going to get an answer to that later.
Of course,
now,
Mr. Chairman.
There were
eight questions before that he was not given a chance to answer.
I understand,
so
but
the witness might have thought.
But the witness doesn't, Mr. Chairman, point of order. The witness does not control the time.
Hang on. Exactly right. Members control the time. If they want to switch their question and focus on one more question.
What a clusterfuck.
I want to give the witness a chance to respond to that final question that Mr. Gates asked. He didn't respond to it. Someone else is going to ask it, I'm sure. We now recognize the gentleman from Tennessee for 5 minutes.
Jesus, for the love of God, can we have the Democrats retake the House next year? I knew this was going to be a thing when the GOP won. It was so refreshing. It was so refreshing to have congressional hearings that weren't just a fucking circus. For most of my time doing this show, it has been a fucking circus. Now, the more likely scenario going into 2024, I've said this before, well, the worst case scenario is probably that the Republicans will take the Senate because it's a very unfavorable map to Democrats, and the Democrats take back the House. And then we're going to be in a stalemate yet again. I'm still holding out hope that Tester in Montana is probably going to hang on because he is popular. I think that Ohio, I'm blanking on his name right now. Fucking love the guy too. What the hell? Why am I blanking on his name? Ohio Senator, not Tech Bro Boy, but Sherrod Brown. Senator Brown from Ohio, also a Democrat in a ruby red state, but is popular with his constituency, has the advantage of incumbency. I believe those two are going to be able to hang on. Ohio isn't real. I don't think Vermont's real. We've gone over this. But it's almost a certainty that Joe Manchin in West Virginia is going to lose to Jim Justice. Which could put us back at, 51-49. While I am sad that the Democrats may lose control of the Senate, having Jim Justice in the Senate will be entertaining for my purposes here on the Troll Patrol. If you guys are not aware of who Jim Justice is, we've played clips of him multiple times during COVID. He read a report and he was like, well, that makes me want to have to vomit and piss. He held up his dog's ass during his State of the State address and told, was it Bette Midler to kiss his dog's ass? So the dude will be entertaining once he gets into the Senate. Far more entertaining than Joe Manchin, that's for sure. Content warning again for yet another clip from Matt fucking Gaetz. Promising that we are 10 days away. We are 10 days away from the deadline for them to reach a budget agreement. Matt Gaetz promising the government's going to shut down.
Do you believe the government is going to shut down?
Yes, and it's Kevin McCarthy's fault that the government is going to shut down because we didn't move individual spending bills. There's a lot of things going wrong in this country that we can blame the Democrats for. The border, the weaponized government, but we cannot blame the Democrats for having not done our job to comply with the coalition agreement that we made at the beginning of the year. That is the fault of the Speaker, and I believe that if he does not immediately remediate that, he will likely face a motion to vacate. I'm not for everyone. I get that. Deal's a deal. And if Kevin McCarthy wasn't willing to honor the deal that he made to assume the speakership, then he should not have agreed to those terms. Inside Washington, D.C., people think they can just lie all the time with impunity and that no one's ever going to call them on their bullshit. But,
Really, Matt Gaetz? Really? People think they can just lie in Washington.
But a deal's a deal. And if Kevin McCarthy wasn't willing to honor the deal that he made to assume the speakership, then he should not have agreed to those terms. Inside Washington, D.C., people think they can just lie all the time with impunity and that no one's ever going to call them on their bullshit. But, Kevin broke this deal. And I intend to hold him to that deal or to hold daily votes on a motion to vacate. Yeah, I'm pretty frustrated. And I had so much hope when Speaker McCarthy made this agreement that we could turn this place around during both Republican and Democrat control. But instead, all we've gotten are lies and broken promises and failure and shutdowns. And while that may be Kevin McCarthy's legacy, it will not be mine.
I thought he was going to say, what was that line he said back in the fall? A handful of howdy and a mouthful of... I don't even remember what it was, but it cracked me up. And all we've gotten is a handful of howdy. We are 10 days away from a possible government shutdown, and the more fun is like watching Matt Gaetz bring a motion to vacate the speakership, and we might have the GOP going through the process of picking a new speaker all over again. We went through it earlier this year. There was almost a fist fight on the House floor. Very entertaining for us doing political coverage here on this stream. not so much for the country and a functioning government. One of the things that they brought up while we were watching the clips of Merrick Garland being questioned in the Judiciary Committee was January 6th. You also heard mention of the Russia probe. This one's interesting. A former federal prosecutor who resigned from the Trump-Russia probe says that she left over concerns about one Mr. William Barr. A former federal prosecutor who helped investigate the origins of the Trump-Russia probe said on Wednesday she left the team because of concerns with then Attorney General William Barr's public comments about the case and because she strongly disagreed with a draft of an interim report he considered releasing before the election. I simply couldn't be a part of it, so I resigned. This is according to Nora Donahue, told the Connecticut state legislatures during her confirmation hearing as a nominee to the Supreme Court. Nominated to the state Supreme Court, it marked the first time Donahue has spoken publicly about her sudden resignation from the probe overseen by former special counsel John Durham. Durham, a former U.S. attorney for the District of Connecticut, was appointed in the spring of 2019 by Barr to investigate potential wrongdoing by government officials and others in the early days of the FBI probe into ties between Trump's 2016 presidential campaign and Russia. Trump expected the investigation to expose what he and his supporters alleged was a deep state conspiracy to undermine his campaign, but the slow pace of the probe and the lack of blockbuster findings contributed to a deep wedge between the president and Barr by the time the attorney general resigned in December of 2020. The investigation concluded last May with underwhelming results, a single guilty plea from a little-known FBI lawyer, resulting in probation and 2 acquittals at trial by juries. Donahue, who was the first woman to serve as U.S. Attorney for the District of Connecticut, told Connecticut lawmakers that politics had never played a role in how she was expected to carry out her job as a federal prosecutor, and that the Justice Department I thought I was returning to when she ultimately joined Durham's team. I have been taught and spent my entire career at the Department of Justice conducting any investigation in an objective and apolitical manner. In the spring and summer of 2020, I had growing concerns that the Russia investigation was not being conducted in that way. Attorney General Barr began to speak more publicly and specifically about the ongoing criminal investigations. I thought these public comments violated DOJ guidelines. Jerry, good evening. Donahue, did I say that correctly, Jerry? Or is it Geary? Donahue said Barr's comments were certainly taken in a political way by reports. Whether he intended that or not, I don't know. He did. She declined to detail what happened during her time with the investigation because it involved highly classified information. While Durham's report did not identify significant problems with the FBI's Trump-Russia probe, while it did identify significant problems with the probe, including major errors and omissions in wiretap applications targeting the former Trump campaign official, many of the findings had already been revealed by the Justice Department Inspector General, and though Trump had looked to the report to malign the FBI as prejudiced against him, Durham concluded that the FBI's mistakes were mostly the result of confirmation bias rather than partisanship or outright political bias. Durham would not answer questions about Donahue's resignation during a June appearance, saying that the issue was not part of the report that he had been summoned to talk about. Tangentially related to January 6th, because I believe this happened on January 6th, if I remember the story correctly. Yep, on the day of the Capitol riot. On the day of the Capitol riot, ex-Trump aide Cassidy Hutchinson says that Giuliani groped her while another Trump lawyer watched. Oh, Rudy.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
How many women have accused you of sexual harassment at this point, Rudy? Cannot wait to see you go to prison, sir. Ex-Trump White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson claims that Giuliani groped her on the day of the Capitol riot. She wrote that Giuliani put his hand under my blazer and then my skirt while they were at Trump's rally. She said another former Trump lawyer, John Eastman, witnessed the incident and gave her a leering grin. This is a book plug, of course. I mean, I believe her. It's 100% within the character of Rudy Giuliani. It's according to The Guardian, which obtained an advance copy of Hutchinson's book, Enough, which is set to hit bookshelves on September 26th. Hutchinson, who was a crucial witness in Congress's investigation into the deadly riot, also writes that another pro-Trump lawyer, John Eastman, watched as Giuliani put his hand under my blazer. I feel his frozen fingers trail up my thigh. Yeah, I feel his frozen fingers trail up my thigh. He tilts his chin up. The whites of his eyes look jaundiced. My eyes dart to John Eastman, who flashes a leering grin. I fight against the tension in my muscles and recoil from Rudy's grip. Filled with rage, I storm through the tent on yet another quest for Mark. I assume she's referring to Mark Meadows, her former boss and Trump's chief of staff from March 2020 through January 2021, who has now been indicted in the Georgia investigation. Giuliani and Eastman were both instrumental in Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. I bet he does. He probably feels like a corpse. Eastman leered at her. Ooh. Ooh. Meanwhile, up in Canada, I found this story kind of interesting. Canada's QAnon queen has been forced out of Kamsack, Saskatchewan. Residents protested, and the RCMP escorted Romana Dedulio. I always fuck her name up. Romana Dedulio and her followers out of town. A woman known as the QAnon inspired conspiracy theorist who purports to be the Queen of Canada was for. I guess you're not so much the Queen of Canada, ma'am. Romana Dedulio, I'm fucking it up, I'm sorry. And some of her followers had been convoyed into Kamsack, according to local residents and town officials who spoke to CBC News. Within a 6-hour period on Wednesday, this happened last week, a couple of hundred townspeople peacefully protested their presence, and the RCMP eventually escorted the group out of town. The pride we have in our town today is so immense, says Kamsack Mayor Nancy Brunt. We're so grateful for what everyone did yesterday, coming together on all on the same side, all saying this is our town and no one is going to take it away from us. Dedulio started as a far-right QAnon conspiracy theorist a couple of years ago, but has turned into something else, said Evan Balgord, executive director of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, an independent nonprofit organization that monitors and exposes hate groups. Dedulio has declared herself the Queen of Canada, among other titles, including the National Indigenous Leader. She has amassed thousands of followers by pushing conspiracy theories, what she decrees through social media, particularly Telegram, a messaging app popular with the far right. What's your story about the King of France? What? Oh my God. Old Chucky Boy was with Emmanuel Macron today in France. The King of England was the President of France.
Vous allez bien? Bonjour, messieurs, dames. Bonjour. Vous allez bien? Bravo.
Very, very nice to meet you.
Did he call somebody bra? Did I just witness that? Be good, brah. Sky Comet, good evening. Eddie Izzard making his way to the crowd, or making their way to the crowd in France. We don't do kings around this part. We got democracy around here. Fuck your king. Speaking of democracy, we've got a debate in the Republican presidential primaries coming up next week. Several of the candidates are doing their best to try to even make it on the debate stage.
Now, there has not been a whole lot of drama when it comes to who is leading the Republican presidential field. Poll after poll shows former President Trump with a commanding lead. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, the lower polling candidates, there is some big questions, specifically who's going to qualify for the second Republican presidential debate happening next week.
With just over 1 week to go, Republican presidential candidates are scrambling to punch their tickets to the second GOP debate. Among those on the outside looking in, former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum.
It looks like you're right now not in that debate conversation. Do you plan to be on the stage?
Yeah, we plan on being on the stage, but I would just say I think this is one of the things that's wrong with, there's plenty of things wrong with how we elect presidents in this country, but one of the things we're taking the power away from the early states.
Do you plan on being on that stage?
I do plan on it. There's a number of polls that will be coming out. I expect that will help us to make the criteria.
Their biggest hurdle? The Republican National Committee raising the polling thresholds between the first and second debate from 1% to 3% in eligible polls, including at
Doesn't that knock everybody out except for DeSantis and Ramaswamy? Is there anybody else that's polling above 3% at this point? Is Ramaswamy even hitting 3%? Is it just going to be Ron DeSantis on the stage? Jesus.
At least one national poll where both candidates are near the bottom of the pack.
If there was no national poll requirement and they said you've got to be above a threshold for Iowa and New Hampshire, we'd be on the debate stage and you and I could spend this time actually talking about the economy, energy, and national security. But we end up talking about process because of clubhouse rules.
The Burgum campaign has pointed to surveys that show him beating some of his higher profile rivals in the state of New Hampshire, and voters in the Granite State considering Burgum say he should be part of the conversation.
This guy right here is top-notch. He's taken the company and built it up into the millions, billions of dollars, and he knows what's happening.
I think it's maybe a little too early to pick anybody, but he certainly would be in contention.
So just how important are these presidential debates? Well, Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, he had a short-lived presidential.
So apparently DeSantis is sitting at 14.2%. I'm looking at 538, so this is an aggregate of all the national polls. Ramaswamy at 7% and Pence at 4.7%. So it looks like it will just be the three of them on stage, DeSantis, Ramaswamy, and Pence. Trump has already stated that he will be skipping the debate, going to speak to striking union workers.
Run that ended after he failed to meet the criteria to qualify for the first presidential debate. Doug Burgum says either way, he's going to continue through. Whether or not he's on that debate stage, he'll be on the ballot in the Iowa caucuses. And here in New Hampshire, the primary come January of next year. Asa Hutchinson, however, says he'll reevaluate his campaign if he misses the cut. Andrew Rafferty, Scripps News, Nashua, New Hampshire.
I did not see where 538 does not have Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, They're not listed. So I'm not sure they're even going to make the debate. I feel like if they weren't going to be there, it would have been mentioned in that story. All right, let me take a quick break. I'm going to put my potato in the oven. I'm going to put my goddamn potato in the oven. When we come back, we're going to talk about how did that F-35 go missing? You're going to hear from a resident who heard the crash, and apparently the interview is really funny. Protesters blocked a highway in California in protest of Azerbaijan and their attacks on Armenia. Apparently the protests worked because the separatists have agreed to a ceasefire. Get the rundown on that. White supremacists threatened a juror in the trial for the synagogue shooter. An Oklahoma State trooper shot a truck driver during a traffic stop earlier today. An Oklahoma pastor is defending his use of blackface. Black students were suspended. A black student was suspended twice over his hair. This despite the fact that the Crown Act has passed, making that a form of discrimination. Ooh. Residents are upset about a book called Fuck Like a Porn Star being in the county library. And speaking of fucking like a porn star, Lauren Boebert gets trashed on national TV. She wasn't drinking on national. I mean, we already had that happen. A local TV station in Colorado trashes her on national TV. And apparently she dumped her boyfriend for being a Democrat. All that and more when we come back on the other side of the break here on the Troll Patrol Live.
We live in turbulent times. The media is full of deception, conspiracy theories, and fake news. Now, more than ever, it is important to ensure you're getting information from a source that's freaking reliable.
I'm Justin Mullins, and this is the Freakin' News.
Get a breaking or interesting story with a humorous twist in about a minute weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, and more.
Guy comment with a new kitty. We better get some pics in the troll chat. Aliens, that could probably be the most logical explanation at this point. Damn right. How have you not already blessed us with your kitten pictures? Pussy pictures in the troll chat. I love we created a NSFW thread in the troll chat, and it says put dick pics here. I love that all of you guys have just been posting pictures of Richards. Nobody's putting actual dick pics in there. Just pictures of different people named Richard. I love it. Let's get back to finding out what that news be doing. How did an F-35 worth over $100 million go missing? Which it is still missing. So still missing.
This morning, we're learning new details about how a missing fighter jet came hurtling back to land, shaving off treetops before crash landing in a remote area. But still no explanation as to how the military managed to lose track of the $100 million aircraft or why its pilot ejected.
That will be something that they will investigate. Believe me, after every aviation mishap, the Pentagon does what the Pentagon does. They'll investigate it to try to get the answers on what happened.
When those answers come, isn't clear.
Do you feel lucky today?
Oh, yeah. I feel lucky that it hit the field.
As a wider view of the wayward path shows the pilot ejecting in North Charleston, but the jet ending up 80 miles away here in Williamsburg County.
Usually airplanes, other military aircraft in which the pilot ejected, the airplane will fly for a while, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, but several minutes, that is surprising.
The Marine Corps says the pilot ejected around 1:30 Sunday, and residents reported their home shaking after 2, meaning it could have been flying on autopilot for more than a half hour.
It was kind of probably 100 feet above the treetops.
Eyewitnesses Adrian and Stephen Trueluck live a few miles from the crash site and were celebrating their son's 7th birthday when they saw the jet dropping.
Almost going inverted.
The jet itself.
So the jet, like, it did crash. We have the jet. It's just all debris. Like it disintegrated. Like it was landing in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, or some shit. What the fuck?
Itself was inverted.
It was probably 3/4 of the way. We could see the canopy.
Demos of the F-35B aircraft posted by Lockheed Martin show its ability to hover and land in a vertical column. As for the Truelucks, they say they saw the plane intact and didn't think much about a boom they heard later until they saw reports of a missing fighter jet the next day.
Did you call the Marine Corps, or what calls did you make?
I did. I called, but it probably wasn't until 4 o'clock-ish. And I think they'd already zeroed in about where it was, at that point.
Hours later, the debris field was confirmed.
This is just insane. Now we got some eyewitnesses in that story, but apparently this is a video that is going viral of one of the eyewitnesses interviewed by a local news station near the crash site.
In the bathroom taking a shave, and I heard a screeching.
You were in the bathroom taking a shave. Is that what they call it nowadays? I've got some advice for you, my friend.
Life is too short to walk this earth for a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
In the bathroom taking a shave, and I heard a screeching. Saw that between a screech and a whistle. I said, what in the world is this? And I heard a boom. Then my whole house shook.
White says he didn't realize it was a plane at the time, so he didn't call anybody.
The first thought came to me, I said, must be a meteorite coming out of space or something? And I said, well, if it's an airplane, it needed to be reported. That thing was flying just too low.
The F-35B airplane wreckage created an extensive debris field. The wreckage is located off Old Georgetown Road. Military security is very tight, with numerous red and white signs on
in the bathroom taking a shave, and I heard a screeching. Saw that between a screech and a whistle. I said, what in the world is this? And I heard a boom. Then my whole house shook.
White says he didn't realize it was a plane at the time, so he didn't call anybody.
The first thought came to me, I said, must be a meteorite coming out of space or something? And I said, well, if it's an airplane, it needed to be reported. That thing was flying just too low.
The F-35B air.
I love that dude. Yeah, Warlord, hide your kids, hide your Hide your kids, hide your wife. They raping everybody out of here. Oh, oh. Last night in LA, protesters blocked part of the 101 near Glendale in protest of the treatment of Armenians.
Right now on KKL News, on CBS Los Angeles, breaking news. Protesters have blocked part of the 101 freeway in Glendale. Desmond Shaw is live in SkyCal with more for us tonight. Des?
Yeah, Pat, we're closer to downtown LA here on the 101. It was at Glendale Avenue, pretty close to the 4 level here, where both sides of the 101 have been blocked by protesters. We believe they may be Armenian protesters that are protesting recent military actions involving Azerbaijan. We saw quite a bit of this last year, but there were some new developments in that conflict today. And so you can see that the lanes of the northbound 101 have opened up, but here's CHP now in the left lanes of the northbound side, trying to clear all these cars off of the southbound side here. I see some Armenian flags waving down there, quite a few vehicles, all of them parked. And as I widen out here, this is definitely a drive you've got to avoid until CHP manages to get all these cars off of the freeway. Live at SkyCal overhead, I'm Desmond.
Ow.
Back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Desmond. And for more perspective on this, we're going to go to our Mike Rogers at the desk. Mike?
Yeah, Pat, I was just talking to CHP. It seems like they are a little bit less willing to let this go on as long as last time. They've already got some tow trucks there if need be. Now, at issue here is Azerbaijan's launch of reportedly intense artillery firing in the Nagorno-Karabakh region. At least 27 people have been killed there. The area is an ethnic Armenian region that's internationally recognized as part of Azerbaijan.
I said Azerbaijan.
Soaring around that region for months now. Azerbaijan began blocking the road that connects the Nagorno-Karabakh.
The first guy said Azerbaijan, didn't he?
December, and that's what we believe that these guys are protesting. And again, this is on the 101. And I want to, Pat, if we can, go to our next traffic maps, because as Desmond mentioned here, it is really, really, really a mess. You see all the red there, SIG alert both directions. Now, it has gotten better since CHP was able to kind of get the northbound side cleared up a little bit, but you can see the backup there all the way into downtown near the 110 freeway here. And we'll just show you one more look from SkyCal right there as the traffic is really bad. That southbound side still struggling to get past it. Hopefully CHP can get this done in the next few minutes or so. They told me on the phone they are working with the protesters down there to get them cleared out. Last time it went on a lot longer than this, so hopefully that is not the case for much longer, Pat.
All right, thanks so much, Mike. And we're going to go back up to Desmond Shaw. Des, wondering if you know about communications that they say they're working with the protesters. Do you see any movement right now where they are trying to disperse, or it looks like they are trying to disperse?
Not so much here. I'll see if I can double in without it getting too dark. You can see CHP talking to people here over the center divider, trying to negotiate with these folks to get them off of the freeway. I know that there were some tow trucks on the northbound side that they may start to bring to the southbound side, just so CHP lets them know that they mean business. You see the spotlight overhead. I believe that's an LA County Sheriff's helicopter that is assisting with that as well. I'm sure that they're talking over the loudspeaker to all of these protesters, telling them that they need to get off of the freeway. Probably not a coincidence that they're on the 101, because if any roadway can back up with even just the slightest hiccup on it, it is definitely, as we know, the 101 into and out of downtown Los Angeles, regardless of what hour it's at, Pat.
No question about that, Des. And we are going to move on to other news, but we'll be coming back to you because I'm rather interested to see if those tow trucks would actually move some vehicles that are on the freeway. All right, thanks so much for that, Des. And we'll move on to this, a death investigation near a Long Beach school. Please say
man with a sledgehammer dies near school. What?
A sledgehammer tried to get on the campus of McKinley Elementary School. Officers say when he tried to climb a fence, some men pulled him down and detained him. Officers arrived and handcuffed the suspect, but realized he was unresponsive and was
No. He didn't just become unresponsive. Sorry, we took a little detour there with the Armenia story. I'm not exactly sure what the protests are supposed to accomplish. If you are protesting Azerbaijan's treatment of Armenians, how does blocking a freeway in LA help? But apparently, I mean, we saw a movement. Armenian separatists in Karabakh have agreed to a ceasefire now.
Ethnic Armenians in Azerbaijan's breakaway region of Nagorno-Karabakh agreed to a Russian proposal for a ceasefire on Wednesday. It came 24 hours after Azerbaijan began an offensive to take control of the enclave that killed dozens and injured hundreds. Under the ceasefire agreement, effective from 1 p.m. on Wednesday, separatist forces were to disband and disarm. Separatists running the self-styled Republic of Artsakh said they'd been forced to agree to Azerbaijan's terms after Baku's army broke through their lines and seized a number of strategic locations while, they said, the world did nothing. An Azerbaijan Defense Ministry spokesman on Wednesday confirmed it had reached agreement on a ceasefire with ethnic Armenian forces. The outcome would appear to pave the way for Azerbaijan to integrate around 120,000 ethnic Armenians into its society. The ministry released this video claiming it shows Armenian forces escaping from trenches in Nagorno-Karabakh. Reuters was not able to independently verify the location or the date the video was recorded or the veracity of the Azerbaijani claims. Armenia, which says it has no military forces in Karabakh, despite Azerbaijani assertions, did not intervene militarily. Speaking on Wednesday, President Vladimir Putin said Russia expects to achieve a peaceful settlement of the situation in Karabakh. In video released earlier on Wednesday, Russian peacekeepers were seen helping to evacuate civilian ethnic Armenians to temporary accommodation. Azerbaijan began its operation against Nagorno-Karabakh on Tuesday after some of its troops were killed in what Baku said were attacks from the mountainous region, which Azerbaijan had blockaded for 9 months. Azerbaijan on Wednesday held a funeral for one of its soldiers killed in recent clashes. The death of Seymour Mahmudov may have been the trigger for the military operation. Talks on the future of the region and the ethnic Armenians who live there were due to start on Thursday.
I think there is a really good documentary on the conflict. This shit goes back well over a century. This is still the reverberation of the Armenian genocide, the Turkish-backed Armenian genocide from what? Pre-World War II. If you would like to learn more, I'm pretty sure there is a World War I. Thank you, Warlord. I said pre-World War II, but yeah. There is a fantastic documentary about this, real life lore on YouTube, I believe. It has a good hour and a half deep dive into the conflict. It will give you all the history. As I said, most of the information I know about Armenia and Azerbaijan comes from being a fan of System of a Down. The band from California, composed of all ethnic Armenians that fled. And that's still, I don't know enough. World Affairs is one of the blind spots I have. Yeah, that region they're talking about is like an island. It's not an actual island. That region is surrounded by Azerbaijan on all sides. But I can't tell you much. I can't relay information to you. I'm just here to give you the headlines and shit because I don't know jack about it. I know that fucking racism and racial tensions fucking suck. And we are experiencing racial tension here in the United States. Jurors and witnesses in the synagogue massacre trial faced threats from this white supremacist. The self-proclaimed leader of a white supremacy group admitted in a guilty plea on Tuesday that he threatened jurors and witnesses in the Pittsburgh Tree of Life Synagogue massacre trial, the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in U.S. history. Hardy Carroll Lloyd of Fallen Bee, West Virginia, that he posted threats via social media, websites, and emails during the federal hate crimes trial in Pittsburgh of Robert Bowers. The United States Attorney's Office announced on Tuesday Lloyd pleaded guilty to obstruction of the due administration of justice. On October 27, 2018, Bowers drove to the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh Squirrel Hill neighborhood with multiple firearms and fired more than 100 rounds, ultimately killing 11 people and injuring 7 others. Prosecutors said he was driven by long-held anti-Semitism and hatred of immigrants as he burst into the place of worship and shouted, "I'm not going to say that. I don't want anybody to clip me saying that. I don't want YouTube to get on to me for saying that." Part of his plea agreement, Lloyd, 45, stipulated that he intentionally chose the jurors and witnesses in the Bowers trial as his targets due to the actual or perceived Jewish religion of the witnesses and the Bowers victims. No! It is absolutely reprehensible that the defendant threatened witnesses and jurors in the Tree of Life case. A tragedy that claimed innocent lives and emotionally scarred many in the Jewish community. This is according to Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI. If the court accepts Lloyd's agreement, he will be sentenced to 78 months in prison, which is expected to be the highest end of the sentencing range calculated under sentencing guidelines. Yeah, that's the lamest thing you can yell during a mass murder, really. At least the dude that shot up Christchurch had a whole bunch of memes and shit. Still, I was scarred watching the Christchurch. I watched that video because I'm a glutton for punishment. I wonder if race had anything to do with this story coming out of Oklahoma. A semi-truck driver shot and killed by the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. Nope, state trooper in Oklahoma.
Well, guys, you can see the scene is cleared now, but we don't know what type of altercation led to that trooper shooting that driver. OHP says ultimately that'll be determined through dash camera and body camera video, but they also say they don't know if the trooper was wearing body camera, but it's possible. Around 8:30 Wednesday, an Oklahoma Highway Patrol trooper made a traffic stop that would later turn deadly.
A short while later, the call over the radio went out as shots fired. Some sort of altercation happened prior to this. The driver of the CMV was shot and killed.
You can see here Sky 5 over the scene on the Turner Turnpike Toll Plaza near Stroud.
A working man.
Patrol couldn't say what type of altercation happened or if that driver had a weapon. They did confirm the trooper was alone.
The reason for the traffic stop is unknown right now.
The truck driver wasn't hauling anything and didn't have a trailer. The truck was not local and based out of state. The driver's identity has not yet been released. And the trooper was uninjured and will be on paid administrative leave.
Oh, well, that's good.
I'll tell you more about the investigation.
The fuck is going on in Oklahoma? Does not look like we have any additional details within the story. That's one we're going to keep an eye on, though, because something fucky is going on there. I don't trust the cops. Fucking what? Oklahoma, get your act together. What in the this? I guess content warning for insane racism. I'll let this news station describe it to you.
Breaking news.
OKC police searching for the suspect accused of shooting and injuring a man at an apartment complex near I-240 in Blackwelder. Police say when they arrived on scene, they found the victim with multiple.
Well, that wasn't the story.
To the hospital in critical condition. A suspect description has not.
I got catfished by the news.
Overnight, police using canines and helicopters to try and find a suspect who was driving a stolen car near 122nd and Penn. When police arrived on that scene, the suspect
KOCO catfished me.
Trying to find them. Oklahoma City police setting up a perimeter and using their Air One helicopter and canines to try and find them, but they have not been located as of yet.
Sky 5 was over this apartment fire this morning near Southwest 44th and I-35.
Southern Baptists expel Oklahoma church. Clinically, good evening. A lot. This has been a fucking jam-packed show. Southern Baptists expel Oklahoma church after pastor defends his blackface and native caricatures. I wanted the video because I wanted to see the fucking blackface. The executive committee of the nation's largest Protestant denomination voted on Tuesday that Matoaka Baptist Church of Ashalata be deemed not in friendly cooperation with the convention. Cool. Well, you know, if the pastor had raped some kids, they would have covered it up and would have been in compliance. The Southern Baptist Convention has ousted an Oklahoma church whose pastor defended his blackface performance at one church event and his impersonation of a Native American woman at another. The executive committee of the nation's largest Protestant denomination voted on Tuesday that Minnetonka Baptist, the Lake Minnetonka. We are not going to cancel you, PP girl. I assure you, I've done far more to get canceled over than wearing a headdress like that. The church's pastor, Sherman Jaquez, dressed in blackface for a 2017 church Valentine's Day event. Valentine's Day, which he claimed to be impersonating the late soul singer Ray Charles. Jaquez wore dark facial makeup, a large afro wig, and dark afro wig? Did Ray Charles have an afro in his early career? Because he always had the kind of the short little curls, right? He smiled broadly as he sang a duet. Some of the crowd can be heard laughing during the video of the performance. The video was brought to light earlier this year. You think you've got it? Have you got? Apparently the video exists. Oh, yep. Let's do this. Let's see what this motherfucker was up to. Yep.
Country pastor to apologize after pictures of him with his face painted black, dressed as Ray Charles.
That's not Ray Charles.
The pictures in a video have been shared on Facebook. Fox 23's Alex Cash joins us.
Is that supposed to be Willie Nelson next to him? What the fuck? Sir, you look nothing like Ray Charles. No, I'm looking at young pictures of Ray Charles. There is no afro. The fuck is this dude talking about? I'm stunned. I'm stunned. That looks nothing like Ray Charles. That is Ray Charles. I don't see no gigantic afro. You look like Questlove from The Roots or some shit. The fuck?
It's live after looking into this today. Alex, a lot of people say they are offended.
These pictures have gone viral. Some people say he should say sorry, but speaking to his congregation, this pastor...
How did this British woman get to Oklahoma?
...defended the pictures and says he's not racist. This is a video of Sherman Jacks, the pastor at Matoka Baptist Church in Oshaleda, performing in blackface. It was back in 2017 at a Valentine's Day event. Pictures of it, shared by Tulsa activist Mark Lewis, have gone viral.
You know the historical trauma that blackface have done to people of color.
And we're talking 2017. You guys remember, like, we're having the conversation about Confederate monuments and everything. People are absolutely getting canceled for blackface.
I was like, nah, this is not acceptable.
Jacks wasn't at Matoka Baptist Church Thursday when I stopped by, but he spoke about the pictures during his sermon Wednesday night in a video posted on the church's Facebook page. He says he was dressed as Ray Charles and says he's not racist.
I just want to publicly say I don't have a racial bone in my body.
Bullshit!
I'm not racist at all. There wasn't anything racial about it. I was singing Ray Charles's 7 Spanish Angels, and I said, I love Ray Charles's music. How can you portray Ray Charles if you're not a black man?
In another picture from a different party that he says was about 12 years ago, Jacks is dressed as a Native American woman.
We had Cowboys and Indian night. I dressed up like a squaw.
Jacks has been outspoken over the issue of public drag queen performances in Bartlesville and says that costume is not drag.
That wasn't a drag queen performance. That was a theme night at Falls Creek, and I was fully clothed, and I did nothing sexual or lewd.
Morgan Lawrence Hayes, the president for Oklahomans for Equality Bartlesville, says Jacks should say sorry.
This absolutely drives home the point that it's never been an argument about drag. It is about the person wearing the dress and the sexual orientation of that person. He needs to apologize. He needs to own what he did. He needs to apologize for his actions.
Reverend Kelly Beckham is from the Disciples Christian Church in Bartlesville. She says Pastor Jacks should show better leadership.
And so from a leadership perspective, boy, he really missed the mark and continues to miss the mark because he refuses to apologize when he's made a mistake. Part of being a Christian is working to make the world a better place. And I just don't see how demeaning other human beings makes the world a better place.
I emailed, texted, called and went to the church to get a comment from the pastor. I'm yet to hear back. Meanwhile, the viral post continues to be shared. It has over 1,400 shares at the moment. Covering news at Mass.
I'm going to tell you with 100% certainty that man is both a bigot and a racist. A fucking man. I keep saying that I've done this show long enough that I'm never going to be shocked by anything that we do, but every night, just crazy shit happening. So this motherfucker can wear that stupid ass afro, not even look like the man he's claiming to be portraying, but this black student gets suspended twice for his natural hairstyle. The school says it isn't discrimination. Daryl George, a junior at Barbers Hill High School in Mont Bellevue, was initially suspended the same week Texas outlawed racial discrimination based on hairstyles. After serving an in-school suspension over his hairstyle, a black high school student in Texas immediately received the same punishment when he arrived to school Monday wearing his hair as before in twisted dreadlocks tied on top of his head. Daryl George, a junior at... Why? I have a friend who is currently in I don't even know how to describe the situation, in some sort of dispute with the school over her child having like a tank top on that apparently showed some of her back. Like, why are we policing what children are wearing? Why are we policing their hair? What the fuck? We don't have bigger issues in this fucking country? Daryl George, a junior at Barbers Hill High School in Mount Bellevue, was initially suspended the same week the state outlawed racial discrimination based on hairstyles. School officials said his dreadlocks violated the district's dress code because his hair fell below his eyebrows and earlobes. What a stupid fucking rule. George, 17, served the first suspension last week at the Houston area school. He was in tears when he was sent back to in-school suspension on Monday. He has to sit on a stool for 8 hours in a cubicle. That's very uncomfortable. Every day he'd come home, he'd say his back hurts because he has to sit on a stool. The incident recalls debates over hair discrimination in schools and the workplace and is already testing the state's newly enacted Crown Act, which took effect earlier this month. The law, an acronym for Create a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair, is intended to prohibit race-based hair discrimination and bars employees and schools from penalizing people because of the hair texture or protective hairstyles, including afros, braids, dreadlocks, twists, or bantu knots. Texas is one of 24 states that have enacted a version of the Crown Act. A federal version of the Crown Act passed the House of Representatives last year, but was not successful in the Senate. For black people, hairstyles are more than just a fashion statement. Hair has always played an important role across the black diaspora. Diaspora. Sorry. It said Candace Matthews, National Minister of Politics for the New Black Panther Nation. Her group is not affiliated with another New Black Panther organization, widely considered anti-Semitic. Dreadlocks are perceived as a connection to wisdom. This is not a fad, and this is not about getting attention. Hair is our connection to our soul, our heritage, and our connection to God. In George's family, all the men have dreadlocks going back generations. To them, the hairstyle has cultural and religious importance. Our hair is where our strength is. That's our roots. He has his ancestors locked into his hair, and he knows that. Historians say braids and other hairstyles served as methods of communication across African societies, including to identify tribal affiliation or marriage status, and as clues to safety and freedom for those who were captured and enslaved. Let's go back to Atlanta. Last night we watched... I'm sorry, I said Atlanta. Birmingham. We're going to Birmingham. Last night where we watched a band director who seemed like a badass and his band seemed rather talented. He was tased by police after... refusing to stop mid-song, wanted to finish their set out. Apparently this is a tradition in black high schools called the fifth quarter, where the bands play the attendees out. Last night we watched the video of him getting tased by police for no fucking reason. Today he has responded.
First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for being here today, for giving me the opportunity.
This is Johnny Mims, minor high school band director.
As an educator to give my side of the story. On Thursday, September 14th, we were preparing for just a normal day. A normal football game is what we normally do. We prepare 3 days a week for our football games. I was traveling over to Jackson Olin High School with a group of about 145 students with chaperones and with staff. We were preparing for the game as we would normally do. We came in and played. The band sounded amazing as is expected from our stellar students. And then towards the end of the game, the director from Jackson Olin High School came over to set up a coordination of playing a few tunes after the game, which we agreed upon. We'd do 2 to 3 tunes, and then we established that we would do 3 tunes at that point. And so we followed suit. And so it brings all into question of what happened in this situation, which should never have happened to me or to the students or to the parents to have to even see. And again, most important thing, I want everybody to know that I was just doing my job as an educator, instructing the band, allowing the band to play, and again, just celebrating the achievements of our football team, our cheerleader squad, and our band program. The things that happened in that game should have never happened. The students should have never seen me tase. Those things should have never happened. I was not trying to be defiant to the police department. Again, I was just trying to do my job, which was previously established before the end of the game. And so I think it's important for everybody to know that it was coordinated. It's something that is customary to bands. And again, we want to make sure that everybody doesn't lose sight of that the students were caught in this. It's very important to understand also that the lights were cut off towards the end of that. It was performing those tunes, and so that further made it more difficult for us to be able to move the students out of the stadium in an orderly fashion way, because more importantly, we have to always be careful to make sure that we consider the students and make sure that they're safe entering and out of the stadium. And so that's the
Question marks. Good evening.
At the game.
A cab indeed.
Unfortunate. I should have never been tased. It was excessive, and I think that should have no educator should ever have to experience that. But I definitely don't want us to ever lose sight of the students who were caught in the middle of this. They are the most important thing in this situation. Thank you.
Hi everyone.
Shut up, George. So that is a statement from the band director. Still in shock over that video we watched last night. Should have never fucking happened. Now we're going to go to Atlanta. Got 2 hours east of Birmingham. We're going to go to Atlanta where a gas leak has caused a fire and shut down a busy highway.
We are following breaking news right now at noon. A major hazard on the southwest side of Atlanta. A natural gas line hit, sending flames shooting into the air at this gas station.
Wow.
A fire too close for comfort for so many drivers. Multiple crews are actually on the scene trying to contain the flames right now, and now some roads are shut down. I'm Don Shipman.
And I'm Joy Lim Nakrin. Okay, so let's show you a map of this fire, which broke out at a gas station on Sylvan Road. That is where we find Atlanta News First reporter Rachel Aragon with what's happening. What's the latest, Rachel?
Yeah, I can tell you there are dozens of firefighters right here on scene, and they certainly have their work cut out for them. Right here you can see why exactly. That fire, though, you're looking at right near the Chevron off of Sylvan Road has been going on for quite some time, and we can tell you in the 20 or 30 minutes we've been here, it has actually ground since then. What you're looking at right here, though, are not just Atlanta Fire, but also Hateville Fire and Georgia Power also on scene right here, trying to contain this situation. I also want to go to a different angle right now, either the aerial or a side view, just to give you an extent of the damage to the ongoing flames that these crews have to battle right now. It again is so far from what you can tell, clearly not contained. I talked to Atlanta Fire officials just a few minutes ago. They said right now the focus is really making sure all this is out and contained. But in terms of timeline, they said that could still be quite some time.
Apparently it was a contractor that was doing work that hit a natural gas line.
For anyone, though, who's watching or listening, we also can tell you that the roads around here definitely going to want to watch out for that. Sylvan, of course, obviously blocked off, as well as Lakewood Avenue because of this ongoing fire. In addition to that, Highway 166 westbound also shut down. We saw the traffic backed up on our way to the scene, so it's definitely going to take some time if you're trying to get around this part of southwest Atlanta. But what you're seeing back here on the scene on the ground from our vantage point is, again, just several different departments trying to put this fire out. And I don't know if it's you can see or not, but it is right near a Chevron gas station, which of course is some alarm for officials as well. So all the more reason to really make sure this fire is completely out. What they're focused right now, of course, is making sure it's all contained. We'll be on scene, though, throughout the day to bring you the very latest. But again, right now, we know so far this fire still has a way to go before it's completely put out. We're live in southwest Atlanta. Rachel Aragon, Atlanta News First.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And of course, that huge blaze having a major impact on traffic in southwest Atlanta.
So let's get the latest on that, what you need to know. Courtney Giacobazzi is here in the studio with it.
It seems like the fire is contained as of 3 hours ago. We might check back in on it tomorrow and see if it burnt down Atlanta. I mean, we've already burnt down Atlanta once and it deserved it the first time. Get a little bit of politics here at the end. Who wants to see Susan Collins in a bikini? Does anybody want to see Susan Collins in a bikini? The senator from Maine. Susan Collins says she is going to wear a bikini in response to what they're calling the Fetterman rule. Rules changes in the Senate.
The U.S. Senate will no longer enforce a dress code for its members. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer handed down the directive to the Senate's Sergeant at Arms. The changes will allow for new looks like Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, who has become known for his signature hooded sweatshirts and gym shorts while on Capitol Hill. He will not apply to staffer or visitors who are still, this will rather not apply to staffer or visitors who are still required to dress in business attire.
All right, they should call.
Seems like a bougie fucking rule to me. Susan Collins jokes that she'll wear a bikini in protest of the Fetterman rule. There's no dress code anymore. Is it the Senate or a giant beach party? Senator Susan Collins joked that she will don a bathing suit for Senate votes while roasting the recent loosening of the chamber's dress code in deference to Senator John Fetterman. I plan to wear a bikini tomorrow to the Senate floor, and Chris Coons is going to wear shorts because there's no dress code anymore. Obviously, I'm not going to wear a bikini, she clarified, but the fact is, as I understand it, I could. Collins was voicing her disdain for the more lax dress requirements for senators announced on Sunday, which she decried as a move that debases the institution. Ma'am, Ron Johnson is a senator. You can't debase the institution any more than that. I think there is a certain dignity that we should be maintaining in the Senate, and to do away with the dress code, to me, debases the institution. I think it's a bougie ass fucking rule to begin with. I mean, I might have photoshopped her onto a woman. It wasn't a bikini, it was a bathing suit. I might have photoshopped. I did a really fucking good job of it too, of blending the skin in and shit. Dignity means wearing stuffy suits. A bikini, as I understand it, is two pieces, right? That was just a bathing suit. I don't know the proper nomenclature. Schumer noted that he personally will stick to the classic suit and tie, previously required of male senators and still required for staffers. As a result, Fetterman will no longer have to shout "A" or "nay" from the doorway to the chamber. Instead, he can wear his signature baggy t-shirts or hoodies and giant shorts on the Senate floor in full view of the clerk and C-SPAN cameras. I love this man. He makes right-wing heads explode, so I'm all for him. Fetterman had almost entirely abandoned any efforts to adhere to the dress code after he was released from a local hospital following a battle with clinical depression. Republicans dogpiled on Fetterman over the change, prompting him to go into full troll mode on social media. I figure if I take up vaping and grabbing the hog during a live musical, they'll make me a folk hero. Apparently, he's also said that he will go back to wearing a suit if they pass a fucking budget. His dig at Representative Lauren Boebert her groping escapade earlier this month at Beetlejuice was posted from his official Senate account, as were many of his other retorts. Not all Republicans ripped the decision. Collins's fellow moderate Lisa Murkowski appeared fine with it. I figure if I take up vaping, that's Fetterman again. I'm not so hung up on things to think that every single day a man needs to wear a necktie. If I had my way, we would have summer casual for men, so we didn't have the air conditioning so low and spend so much money on keeping this place cold. I didn't know that was the reason why they keep it cold. I thought it was so it preserved the life of these old motherfuckers, because it's basically a morgue in there. Yes, apparently there are conspiracies about him. It's the Ultimate Warrior conspiracy. Like, kids used to think when the Ultimate Warrior came back after Vince fired him in like 93, when he came back in, or was it like 92 he was fired and he came back in 93 or 94. They thought it was a different Ultimate Warrior. It was not. These would have flowed better if I'd put this before the dress code, because then I could have gone straight into Lauren Boebert. A book was found in a library. In a county library. This isn't a school library. This is a county library. And boy, are people fucking losing their minds over it.
You live in sexual anarchy?
How to fuck like a porn star.
Tonight at 10, freedom of expression or flat out inappropriate. That is the center of a debate over a book.
Residents tell News 4 a borderline pornographic book landed inside a St. Charles County library, and residents worry it could end up in a child's hand. First Alert 4's Justin Andrews.
Will someone think of the children?
Some who say the literature has a place on library shelves.
Yes, I'm disgusted and disturbed. That's how some describe this book here. And this is the book that's really got some big emotions out tonight. Library leaders say they had no clue about this.
I'm sorry, I stated the title wrong. Bang, bang like a porn star. Sex tips from the pros. Let me tell you, all you prudes out there that are upset about this, you probably need to read that book. And then maybe you wouldn't be so fucking uptight.
Until we brought it to them before tonight's meeting.
Hitting the second.
A library is typically a quiet place.
This is obscene. This is obscene.
But strong opinions were heard loud and clear Tuesday night inside the St. Charles City County Library's Spencer Road branch.
It shouldn't be in a public library, point blank.
Why?
Because it's obscene.
The book in question?
Bang like a porn star.
But Rachel Hamelick and others aren't just mad about the title, it's also the words and pictures between the covers. Some we can't even show on TV.
Listen. If you are worried about your kids reading a book like that, don't let them read it. Problem solved. Shut the fuck up. Move the fuck on. Idiots.
Hamelick recorded this video showing us the images and graphics she has a problem with.
Don't care.
To children. Decency, morality, and just common sense.
Some attending Tuesday's meeting tell First Alert 4 this book was placed on a bookshelf's second shelf in the Kisker branch last week, easily accessible to children. Critics claim the book violates obscenity laws and needs to be removed from public libraries.
The person
obscenity laws.
This book into circulation because they should all be fired.
But some disagree, saying the literature lends its way to freedom of expression and a public library is for everyone.
Yep.
Everybody should deserve a chance to read something and discover and learn about who they are.
First Alert 4 checked online and we could not find the book in St. Louis City, County, or Metro East libraries. Jason Kuhl, the CEO of the St. Charles City County Library, says tonight was the first time he's heard of any issues and recommends those concerned fill out a form. They'll then examine
I wonder if one of these dumb fucks actually planted the book.
The book to see if it violates any laws.
We convene a committee. They read the entire work, no matter how long it is. We shoot for 30 days to get back to them.
Until then, it's the book these residents won't stop talking about until it's gone.
Better yet, charged with felonies. While we're at it, Jason, you should be lumped into that group as well for allowing it.
You dumb.
Online, it shows this book is checked out to someone. Library leaders tell us until that form is filled out, they can't do anything. And of course, we'll keep following this one until the very end. We're live in St. Peter's tonight. I'm Justin Andrews, First Alert 4.
All right, Justin, thank you. This is just the latest controversy around the St. Charles County Library. Back in May, a protest popped off after a woman complained her child was subjected to seeing a male library employee dressed as a woman inside the St. Charles City Library. The CEO declined disciplining the employee, saying the library does not condone discrimination.
So, this comes on the heels of some GOP idiots making a book burning threat after a flamethrower video. Oh shit, hold on. The Missouri Republican state senator. God, I missed it. William Bill Engel has threatened to burn woke books with a flamethrower after a video of him using a flamethrower went viral. This is the same area. This is fact checking. Apparently they were not burning books. They were burning empty boxes. A different video taken from a different angle showed the two Republicans were burning boxes and no books could be seen. But I mean, like, the message is there, isn't it? This is the actual video. Newsweek didn't want to show it to us. What are you trying to hide, Newsweek?
Let's go, Brandon!
Chanting, "Let's go, Brandon." Okay. The video shows two Republican state senators incinerating a pile of empty boxes they said symbolized the woke liberal agenda, leftist policies. One of the senators, William Engel, also stated that he will burn woke books too on the front lawn of the governor's mansion.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Obscene. All this obscenity. Have any of them spoke out about Lauren Boebert? About her obscenity? Boebert has broken up with the Democratic bar owner who groped her during a Beetlejuice date. It wasn't just him doing the groping. Hard-right Representative Lauren Boebert has parted ways with the man seen groping her during a frisky date. Apparently she told TMZ. Do we have video? Yeah.
Congresswoman, I know it's been a rough week. Or has it been?
It's always hard whenever there's gravity put on the voters. I'm here to provide levity and lift burdens off of people. So anytime that they're carrying mine, it's something that
Well, ma'am, you provide us plenty of levity, I will assure you.
kind of feel deep inside. But ultimately, all future date nights have been canceled, and I learned to check party affiliations before you go on a date. But all in all, it was mostly a lovely time, and I've taken responsibility for my actions. Would love to know how the musical ended, and I encourage people to go and see it. But yeah, it was a great time back in the district, seeing voters and.
So how are the voters taking it? How are the voters taking it right now? Are they understanding at this moment?
Yeah, there's a lot of folks who are certainly understanding, and they understand that it was a part of my personal life, my private time, something that I rarely indulge in, and yeah.
And when you say affiliation, as far as knowing not to date the opposite side,
well, TMZ, I'm pretty sure you told the world I went on a date with a Democrat.
So when it comes like that, when those times when it.
No, he's a wonderful man, and it was a great time to go out and have dinner, enjoy part of the show, and yeah, now it's back to work. We're here in DC.
Okay.
And focusing on.
So is that date life? Is that over with him because of? Some people say because he had a drag bar or his
yeah,
bar,
no, nothing to do with anything anybody reported, but
okay.
Honestly, he's a private citizen, and
respect that.
We've peacefully parted at this time. Great man, great friend, and I wish him all the best.
Okay, so what's next for you?
What's next for me? Man, we got a spending battle. We got all sorts of stuff going on. We got impeachment underway. I don't know how long we're going to be here. 1 week, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't know. So I've told my boys to, wait for mom, and maybe if it's too long, I'll bring them out here and we'll enjoy DC together.
All right, back to business then.
That's right.
All right, thank
Lots
you so much,
of work to
Congressman.
do.
Ma'am, Congress is back in session. You should be there until like the Thanksgiving break. That's how jobs work. You actually have to go to them. Apparently, a local news station. I think we've aired a commentary from this local news station before because they have totally torched Boebert like they've got a flamethrower, and this time no different. This video going viral.
Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert's recent performance of sorts that got her thrown out of the theater in Denver was a lot of things, but it wasn't a surprise. I haven't seen a single person say why I am shocked that Lauren Boebert was rude, disruptive, and belligerent. This is, after all, the Congresswoman who suggested that a Muslim colleague was a suicide bomber. I haven't seen anyone surprised that Boebert did not tell the truth about what happened. Because, I mean, days before, we just fact-checked her latest false claim about migrants. I haven't seen anyone say that it was out of character for the Congresswoman to appear to berate theater staff members who were just trying to do their job.
And flip them off.
Really, the only surprise in all of this is that Boebert, once she got caught, apologized and said that she didn't live up to her values. What? I mean, when Boebert didn't know that the cameras were watching, she was exactly who she is when she does know people are watching. Boebert reportedly asked the theater staff, "Don't you know who I am?" Yes, we do.
Fantastic. And I am going to assume that about a year and some change from now, we're going to know that she's no longer a Republican Congresswoman. She barely won re-election last time. The Kyle Frist, I believe is his name. Hold on, let me get that info for you. The guy that ran against her last time, who almost won in a ruby red district, is running against her again. And I'm going to put bets on he's going to win. Adam Frisch. I gave him money last time. I gave money to his campaign last time. Adam Frisch versus Lauren Boebert rematch. The Democrat who almost won is running for almost won is running for Congress again, and I can't imagine she wins this time. He's got a higher profile, more name recognition, and Lauren Boebert has done nothing but be an embarrassment since. Democrat Adam Frisch is running for Congress. Again, he officially launched his 2024 bid against GOP Representative Lauren Boebert with an online announcement on Tuesday. This is back in February. November's election results show us that Boebert is weak and will be defeated, which is why I've decided to launch my 2024 congressional campaign. Despite her near loss in a district that favored Republicans by 9 points, Boebert has only doubled down on her divisive antics, attention-seeking, and angertainment that does nothing to benefit the people of southern and western Colorado. Given the closeness of last year's results, not only more name recognition, a more put-together staff, it's going to be a presidential year. I think she loses. So, Ms. Boebert, I think your time in Congress is coming to an end. Trump will get automakers a deal. How can a dead man do that? Donald Trump apparently died earlier today. Or at least that's what his son's Twitter account said. Donald Trump's death announced by son on Twitter sparked speculation. Donald Trump Jr.'s account on X was the subject of an apparent hacking on Wednesday, and one of the messages I saw somebody post like, you can't keep Don Jr.'s account safe, but you expect to get all of our credit card info. Yeah, Elon. Don Jr.'s account on X was the subject of an apparent hacking on Wednesday, and one of the messages posted contained a false announcement about the death of his father. Former President Donald Trump did not pass away, though, and he has since posted on his Truth Social platform after the hacked messages were shared online. Word spread quickly that Trump Jr. was hacked, but online searches nonetheless spiked for phrases like Donald Trump dead and is Donald Trump dead. Supporters of the former president also accused his detractors of wishing him dead. I'm sad to announce that my father, Donald Trump, has passed away. I will be running for president in 2024. Minutes after the fake message was posted, the National Pulse's Raheem Kassem confirmed the former president's son was the target of a hack. Trump Jr.'s advisor and spokesman, Andrew Serbian, later stated on X that it was obviously not true. Other messages posted on Don Jr.'s account during the hack include telling ex-owner Elon Musk that Donald Trump owns him, a profane insult about President Joe Biden, and a mention of interesting messages with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. This just in, North Korea is about to get smoked, Trump Jr.'s account wrote. The older Trump only recently returned to Twitter following 2 years of not posting on the platform. He'd been banned by what was then known as Twitter on January 8th, 2021. 2 days after the riot, Musk reinstated Trump's account and has basically been begging Trump to come back last November, but the former president has kept his social media activity mostly on Truth Social. He did post his own mugshot on X after it was released by the Fulton County Sheriff's Office following his surrender on more than a dozen charges stemming from his efforts to reverse Georgia's 2020 election results. He has not shared any messages on X or Twitter since that post. And I had a video, but you know what? Let's do this. We're gonna look at Sky Comet's pussy. This is Audrey, a 9-year-old adopted from the shelter. It is incredibly cute. Look at that baby. Look at that face. You're looking at the pussy. Thank you, Sky Comet. You are amazing. I always rescue elderly cats or older cats. I got Socks and Smokey when Smokey was like 4, Socks was 6. My sweet babies. Apparently, Warlord is pulling a Maynard on me and is not impressed with my antics. Go ahead. It's possible I won't even show up tomorrow. If like the news is kind of quiet and there's not anything big, I'm gonna take tomorrow off because I need it. I'm incredibly busy with work. I really need to catch up on some shit, and also mental health not exactly the best right now. So if things are calm, as if, I'm gonna take tomorrow off, take a long weekend. But then next week we got the Republican debate, and that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. So go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. If something big